The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. Picture this: a rainy April morning in New York City. Gretchen Rubin sits on a crowded bus, watching raindrops race down the window. From the outside, her life looks like a dream come true. She's got a loving husband, 2 amazing daughters, a successful writing career, and she's living in the city she adores. But here's the thing. As that bus inches through morning traffic, a thought hits her like a cold splash of water. I'm in danger of wasting my life. It wasn't dramatic. She wasn't depressed or having some stereotypical midlife crisis. It was quieter than that, more insidious. The years were just slipping through her fingers. She'd snap at her husband over nothing. She'd lose touch with friends. There was this constant background hum of discontent that she couldn't quite shake. Then she remembered something the writer Colette once said: "What a wonderful life I've had. I only wish I'd realized it sooner." And boom, right there on that ordinary city bus, Gretchen made an extraordinary decision. She wasn't going to wait until she was old and gray to realize how happy she could have been. She'd dedicate 1 entire year to a single, bold goal: becoming happier. That decision sparked a journey that became The Happiness Project, a book that sold millions of copies worldwide and been translated into dozens of languages. Not because it promises some quick fix or magic formula, but because it offers something more practical and powerful, a blueprint you can actually use. So today, we're diving into that project. By the time we're done, you'll understand the simple, systematic approach Gretchen discovered for building more happiness into your own life. Not by making some massive life change, but by transforming how you live right now, in your own home, with what you already have. You'll discover why organizing your closet might be more spiritual than you think, why you really can't change anyone but yourself, and how a simple chart on your desk might hold the secret to a happier life. This isn't just a book summary, it's your invitation to start your own happiness project, beginning today. Gretchen didn't jump straight into making changes. First, she did her homework. She devoured everything she could find on happiness, from ancient philosophers like Aristotle to modern scientists to, yes, even Oprah. And 2 big questions emerged that she had to answer before starting. First, can you actually make yourself happier? A lot of people believe in the set point theory, which basically says your happiness level is fixed, like your height. Turns out, the research is more encouraging. About 50% of our happiness comes from genetics, another 10 to 20% from life circumstances like age and income. But the rest? That's up to how we think and act. Our daily choices can push us to the top of our happiness range or drag us to the bottom. Happiness isn't just fate, it's a choice. And it's work. Second question: what exactly is happiness anyway? Academics love their complicated definitions, but Gretchen kept it simple. She borrowed from Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart, who once said about something hard to define, "I know it when I see it." We all know when we feel happy. That's enough. She also made an important distinction. The opposite of happiness isn't depression. Depression is a serious medical condition. The opposite of happiness is simply unhappiness. Her project wasn't about curing an illness. It was about moving from fine to flourishing. With those foundations set, she needed structure. She found inspiration in Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, where he described his project of achieving moral perfection. He identified 13 virtues he wanted to cultivate and created a chart to track his daily progress. That was the key, a simple, visual way to stay accountable. Gretchen created her own resolutions chart where she could track her progress with check marks. Then came the big decision: what resolutions to put on it. She decided to focus on a different theme each month: marriage, parenthood, friendship, work, money, passion, attitude, eternity. But where to start? She chose the most fundamental element: energy. After all, having high energy would make everything else easier. Her happiness project would begin in January with the simple goal to boost energy. The first lesson hit hard: how much your physical state affects your emotional state. It sounds obvious, but sleep and exercise turned out to be absolute game changers. She discovered that getting just 1 extra hour of sleep per night could boost daily happiness more than a $60,000 raise. So her first resolution was go to sleep earlier, not some complicated routine, just turning off the light when she felt tired instead of staying up for one more chapter or email. The results were immediate. She felt more cheerful with her kids in the morning, had more patience, and that afternoon energy crash disappeared. Sometimes the biggest happiness levers are the most basic ones. Next up, exercise. Gretchen wasn't exactly a fitness fanatic. Her idea of fun was lying in bed with a good book, but she knew the science was solid. People who exercise are healthier, think more clearly, and have more energy. She resolved to exercise better, which didn't mean training for a marathon. She found a gym offering intense 20-minute workouts where you don't even break a sweat. Major selling point for someone who hates showers. She also bought a simple pedometer and aimed for 10,000 steps a day. Just measuring her steps made her walk more. But there was another energy drain, something more subtle that fills so many of our homes: clutter. Household mess, she realized, was constantly draining her energy. Every time she walked through the door, there was stuff to deal with. So she made a resolution: toss, restore, organize. It seemed almost silly to focus on her sock drawer as part of a grand happiness quest, but she craved order. She started with her own closet, which was a disaster zone of toppling shirt towers and a clothes rod so jammed she had to wrestle things out. Armed with trash bags, she dove in. She got rid of clothes she knew she'd never wear again, things that didn't fit, things that made her feel guilty. A strange thing happened. The fewer clothes she had, the more she felt she had to wear, because everything left was something she actually liked. She got so into it, she tackled the entire apartment. She identified different clutter types: nostalgic clutter from her past, aspirational clutter like that glue gun she never used, and buyer's remorse clutter from regrettable purchases. As the physical clutter cleared, her mental clutter cleared too. She even started finding lost things, proving one of her secrets of adulthood: if you can't find something, clean up. To maintain order, she adopted 2 simple rules. The 1-minute rule: any task that takes less than 1 minute, do it immediately. Hanging up an umbrella, filing a paper, closing a cabinet. These tiny actions had huge cumulative impact. Second, the evening tidy up: 10 minutes before bed to put things back. This made mornings more peaceful and helped her wind down for sleep. With her energy rising, Gretchen was ready to tackle the heart of happiness: relationships. For February, she focused on marriage. She and her husband Jamie had a strong relationship, but parenthood had introduced more bickering and nagging. She knew she couldn't change him. She could only change herself. Her first resolution was tough: quit nagging. She hated being a nag, Jamie hated being nagged, and besides, it doesn't even work. She learned to use nonverbal cues, like leaving an envelope by the door to be mailed. She limited herself to one-word reminders, and often she just did the task herself, instead of insisting it was his responsibility. But she also nagged in a more subtle way, nagging for praise. She had this insatiable need for gold stars, for Jamie to notice and appreciate everything she did. So another difficult resolution: don't expect praise or appreciation. Instead of doing things for Jamie and feeling resentful when he didn't notice, she told herself, I'm doing this for myself. This is what I want. That shift was liberating. No more waiting for applause. Of course, all marriages have conflict, so she decided to fight right. Research shows how you fight matters more than how much. Couples who fight right tackle one issue at a time, avoid bombs like you always, or you never, and know how to de-escalate. This meant learning her own triggers and expressing feelings honestly before they exploded. She learned it takes at least 5 positive interactions to offset 1 negative, so she focused on making sure positives far outweighed negatives. Finally, she resolved to give proofs of love. She was inspired by the quote, "There is no love. There are only proofs of love." Whatever love she felt in her heart, others would only see her actions. So she started small, telling Jamie, "I love you," more often, giving him hugs lasting at least 6 seconds, the minimum time to promote mood-boosting chemicals. This culminated in a week of extreme nice. For 7 days, she was extremely nice to Jamie. No criticism, no snapping, no nagging. She called it an extreme sport, done in the comfort of her own home. A funny thing happened. By acting so loving toward him, she actually began feeling more loving. It was a powerful demonstration of one of her core 12 commandments: act the way I want to feel. After marriage came parenthood. This, she discovered, was a land of fog happiness. That's happiness you get from activities that, moment to moment, don't seem fun. Throwing a party is stressful and exhausting, yet we remember it as happy. Raising children is the same. Day to day, it's filled with worry and irritation, yet in a profound way, it brings tremendous happiness. Her goal for April was simple: be more tender and playful with her 2 daughters. She began with Sing in the Morning. Simple, but it had a powerful cheering effect on everyone, reminding her to follow another commandment: lighten up. It made it easier to resist a nagging tone and inject fun into stressful mornings. One powerful lesson came from parenting experts: acknowledge the reality of people's feelings. Too often, we deny our children's feelings. You're not scared of that. You can't be hungry. You just ate. She learned to simply articulate her child's point of view. When her daughter Eliza burst into tears sobbing that, "Nobody ever pays any attention to me," Gretchen's instinct was to argue, to list all the times she had paid attention. Instead, she just said, "Wow, that hurts your feelings. You feel ignored." That was all it took. Acknowledging the feeling allowed it to pass, and her daughter skipped off happily moments later. She also resolved to be a treasure house of happy memories. She realized the immense value of mementos that trigger positive memories. Recalling happy times boosts present happiness. So she embraced her role as family historian, maintaining photo albums, sending updates to grandparents, creating family traditions. She even created file boxes for each daughter to store keepsakes, like birthday invitations and class photos. This led to another insight: take time for projects. Family projects, like making a craft with her daughter, or spending weeks planning the perfect birthday cake, weren't inefficient. They were the source of fun itself. Happiness has 4 stages: anticipation, savoring the moment, expressing it to others, and recalling the memory later. The cake project let them revel in anticipation for weeks, squeezing out every drop of joy. From immediate family, she widened her circle to friendship in June. She'd learned that having 5 or more friends to discuss important matters with makes you far more likely to describe yourself as very happy. So how to strengthen those bonds? She started simple: remember birthdays, a basic way to ensure she touched base with friends at least once a year. This led to updating her entire address book, a dull job that gave her huge satisfaction and made staying connected easier. Next, be generous. Not buying expensive gifts, but cultivating generosity of spirit. She found ways to do this. Help people think big, encouraging ambitious goals. This led to her second splendid truth: one of the best ways to make yourself happy is to make other people happy. And one of the best ways to make other people happy is to be happy yourself. Another way was bring people together. She started her children's literature reading group and a writer's strategy group, discovering the energy from creating new social networks. She learned to cut people slack, not judging harshly, finding charitable explanations, recognizing that actions often reflect situations, not just character. The foundation of friendship, she concluded, was simply to show up. 80% of success is showing up, and the same goes for relationships. Making the effort to visit a friend with a new baby, stopping by a friend's store opening. These gestures deepen friendships. Having fortified her physical and emotional worlds, Gretchen turned inward. The second half of her year was a deep dive into the mind, attitude, passion, and life's bigger questions. She began exploring her own passions. September's theme was Pursue a Passion, which for her meant books. Her most ambitious goal, write a novel in 30 days. Crazy, but appealing. By writing 667 words daily, she'd have a 50,000-word novel by month's end. And she did it. Enormous work, but thrilling. This boot camp approach freed her from her inner critic. No time for self-doubt. It was a powerful lesson in another resolution. Enjoy the fun of failure. It didn't matter if the novel was terrible. Creating it, pushing herself to complete a massive project, was a huge happiness source and contributed to her atmosphere of growth. But pursuing passion wasn't just big projects. It was also making time for simple pleasures. For Gretchen, that meant reading. She gave herself permission to read at whim, reread old favorites, and crucially, stop reading books she wasn't enjoying. Life's too short to finish a book you don't love. This exploration led back to a central theme emerging all year, her very first commandment, be Gretchen. She had to build happiness on the foundation of her own character, acknowledging what really made her happy, not what she wished made her happy. She'd never be the person jetting off to Paris for weekends or loving midnight jazz clubs. And that was okay. There was sadness in accepting her limitations, but tremendous freedom in letting go of who she thought she should be and embracing who she was. From passion, she moved to mindfulness. For October, she wanted to pay attention. She had a tendency to run on autopilot, multitasking through the day without being fully present. The most common suggestion is meditation, but Gretchen admitted it held no appeal. So in the spirit of Be Gretchen, she found other ways. She began meditating on koans, questions or statements that can't be understood logically. She had her own list, enigmatic lines from literature and philosophy she turned over in her mind. Pondering these phrases jolted her out of conventional thinking and pushed her to think about thinking. She also examined her true rules, mental rules of thumb she used to make decisions without realizing it. Rules like, I'm in a hurry, or choose work over play. By bringing these unconscious rules to light, she could question whether they truly served her happiness. To stimulate her mind in new ways, she tried experiments. She went to a hypnotist, who gave her a tape of suggestions to break bad habits like nighttime snacking. She tried laughter yoga, which she found horribly self-conscious and quit after one class. But then she took a 5-day intensive drawing class. Stressful and exhausting, but tremendously gratifying. The novelty and challenge were powerful happiness sources, proving one of her secrets of adulthood. Happiness doesn't always make you feel happy. Sometimes activities leading to long-term growth are uncomfortable short-term. Mindfulness also applied to eating. She started keeping a food diary. Simply writing down what she ate made her conscious of her fake food habit: pretzels, low-fat cookies, snacks eaten without thinking. Confronted with reality, she gave it up cold turkey and found it surprisingly satisfying. The guilt and self-reproach vanished. As the year wound down, Gretchen moved from mind to spirit. August's theme was contemplate the heavens, or eternity. Not about finding a specific religion, but cultivating perspective and gratitude. To do this, she came up with a unique memento mori, a reminder of mortality. Instead of keeping a skull on her desk, she decided to read memoirs of catastrophe. She read accounts of people facing death, illness, profound losses. Sounds depressing, but she found it strangely uplifting. These stories gave her heightened appreciation for her own ordinary, healthy, pain-free existence. During this month, her third splendid truth came. The days are long, but the years are short. Each life phase feels endless while you're in it, but years slip by with astonishing speed. This realization filled her with bittersweet urgency to appreciate the present moment. This led naturally to keep a gratitude notebook. Studies show consistently grateful people are happier and more satisfied. But after a few weeks it felt forced and annoying. So she quit and found other ways to cultivate gratitude, like using the moment her computer booted up to think grateful thoughts, or reframing complaints into statements of thankfulness. Her final resolution for this spiritual month: imitate a spiritual master. She found her unlikely guide in Sainte Thérèse of Lisieux, a 19th-century French nun known for her little way, achieving holiness through perfecting small, ordinary acts. This resonated deeply with her project's core, changing her life without changing her life. Sainte Thérèse showed that ordinary life is full of opportunities for virtue. This inspired Gretchen's November focus on attitude, with the goal to keep a contented heart. She resolved to laugh out loud, not just smile politely, but really appreciate humor and laugh at herself. She worked to use good manners, seeing politeness as everyday kindness, and she played the Pollyanna game, trying to go a full week with no negative comments, choosing instead to give positive reviews. Incredibly difficult, but it made her aware of her critical streak and helped her see the courage it takes to be enthusiastic. Finally, after 11 months of piling on resolutions, December arrived. The theme was Boot Camp Perfect. She'd try to follow all her resolutions, all the time. Did she have a single perfect day? No, but she kept trying. And that was the point. Her project hadn't been about achieving perfection. It was about the process of striving. As the year closed, she realized her last, perhaps most important, splendid truth. It came after a dinner party where someone quoted philosopher John Stuart Mill. Ask yourself whether you are happy, and you cease to be so. Gretchen realized that, for her, the exact opposite was true. Thinking about her happiness, paying attention to it, had been the very thing that made her happier. And so her fourth splendid truth: you're not happy unless you think you're happy, and its corollary: you're happy if you think you're happy. In the end, she'd done it. She'd changed her life without changing her life. The happiness she was looking for wasn't in some faraway place or different career. The ruby slippers had been on her feet all along. The bluebird of happiness was singing just outside her window. She just had to learn to pay attention. So what do we take away from this incredible year-long experiment? What's the most powerful lesson from the Happiness Project? For me, it's the radical idea that happiness isn't some mysterious mood that descends like weather. It's not something you find, it's something you make. It's a project. And, like any project, it requires a plan, tools, and consistent effort. Gretchen Rubin demystifies happiness. She takes it out of the abstract and makes it concrete, tangible, and most importantly, actionable. The single most powerful tool she gives us is the resolutions chart. Sounds so simple, almost corporate, but its genius lies in that simplicity. We all make resolutions, especially when we're young and ambitious. But how often do they stick? The chart works because it forces daily accountability. It keeps your goals, your better self, front of mind every single day. It transforms a vague desire like, I want to be a better friend, into concrete action like, remember birthdays. That's a shift from wishing to doing. And her monthly themes framework is brilliant because it prevents overwhelm. Instead of trying to change everything at once, you focus energy on one life area at a time, building momentum as you go. You start with energy, then move to relationships, then your inner world. It's a scaffold for self-improvement. But the deeper lesson, the one that stays with you long after finishing the book, is her first commandment: be Gretchen. This is the heart of it all. You can't build a happy life on the foundation of who you wish you were. You have to start with who you are. Hate parties but love reading? Then your happy life involves more books and fewer parties. That's okay. Giving yourself permission to be yourself, to honor your own nature, is one of the most courageous and liberating acts you can perform. So if you're listening today and feeling that same quiet discontent Gretchen felt on that bus, here are a few simple actions you can take right now to start your own happiness project. First, tackle a nagging task. Is something on your to-do list for weeks that takes less than 10 minutes? Cleaning your desk, making that phone call, returning that book. Do it now. The energy boost from crossing it off is disproportionately large. Second, Identify one of your secrets of adulthood. What's one simple truth you've learned that makes life easier? Maybe it's, bring a sweater, or it's okay to ask for help, or most decisions don't require extensive research. Acknowledging these simple truths is a form of wisdom that makes you feel more in control. And third, ask yourself that powerful question. What did you enjoy doing when you were 10 years old? Building with Legos, drawing, reading fantasy novels. That's a powerful clue to what will bring you joy and a sense of play right now. Take a small step to reintroduce that activity into your life. The beauty of Gretchen Rubin's work is its profound accessibility. You don't need more money, more time, or a different life to start. You just need the will to begin. You need to believe that small, consistent actions, compounded over time, can lead to remarkable transformation. That was a deep dive into The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. We've explored the core of her journey today, from the initial spark to the profound truths she uncovered. But here's the thing. A summary can only take you so far. The real magic happens when you read the book yourself. It's in the quiet moments when a particular story or simple phrase hits you in a way you didn't expect. This summary helps you decide if this book is worth your time. If anything we've talked about today resonated with you, I truly encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see yourself and your daily life. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring ideas within the world's most influential books, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know this work is making a difference and ensures you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.